double check this. Make sure that we are actually live. Oh, come on. Hooray, we are live.
Hooray!
Which means...
It's the Cassie Show.
Yay. Right? Switch over to my other screen. Because I don't need to do that.
Just weird.
Okay, so as I discombobulate myself here, the wrong beer. So, welcome to the first session of Rime of the Frostmaiden, or perhaps I should call this the prologue session.
Preludes.
Yeah, the preludes. It's not a session 0. We are missing 2/3 of our group this evening due to real life situations. But we are going to play nonetheless. So, before I get started, let's go ahead and thank the Friends of the Greenwater Guildhall. The first on our list is the Speechless Bard. She and her husband make beautiful leather products for your tabletop games. Such as you can get leather covers for your core rulebooks. She has a full line of leather dice bracelets. One very popular one, especially this month, is the Pride bracelet, where every dice on the bracelet is a different color. She also has a dice rolling mat that when it is rolled up, it looks like a spell scroll. She is over in the UK, so if you are going to order, make sure that you give it a little bit of time, especially if it's a gift or it's a time-sensitive thing, because it takes a while to get across and to clear our customs department. And the last on the list is Fable Beard Company. Fable Beard Company makes beard products such as oils, balms, butters, and co-washes. And each scent profiles a different fantasy character. Today I am wearing the Hero, which smells of rich cologne and warm tobacco. I'm sure they have a fantasy character that will be a scent to your liking. And they have a buy one, get one free for first-time purchasers. So if you log into Fable Beard Company and give them your email address, you can put 2 beard oils into your cart, and if you use the code FIRST, the second one will be discounted to free. And I should say that if you're watching on Twitch, if you scroll down, you should see some tiles there. If you don't see the tiles, click on my profile image, and those should come up for you. And if you click on those tiles, it should take you to the web pages for these individual companies. So, this, I was going to say where we left off, but this is session 1 for Rime of the Frostmaiden.
Yep.
Cassie, you're destroying Bryn Chan.
Oh,
Stop it, Tassilla.
It doesn't really matter, the maps. It doesn't matter. I set this up for what I had planned, and then we had so many cancellations that I just can't run that adventure. I mean, I could, and I might, but we'll see how far you get here. So we are in the process of just ordering some pizza because that is how we roll. And I suppose before I just want to double check one more time, make sure we've got audio.
There. I did it.
That's not what I want. I want to do that. Sounds like we've got audio.
I hear us. Do we hear us?
I hear the air conditioner. Sounds like we've got audio. Yep, there we are.
Yep.
Cool.
Hear us.
Okay. God, I love it when shit works. Yeah, I got to the point where I was just like, you know, the tablet's been doing a lot of heavy lifting. I think I need a little bit of help in here. And so that is why I bought the other PC. Oh, my goodness, I haven't even put you guys in here yet. Dum-da-dum-da-dum. All right. All right, so let's find out about our two players tonight. Alyssa, what is the name of your new character?
My new character's name is Hronda Broadhorn. Hronda.
Tell us a little bit about Hronda Broadhorn.
Hronda Broadhorn is a northern human woman from cold climates and large, nomadic tribesmen. And yeah, she is a singer and performer who began her bard career with traveling circus shows and was frequently featured as, like, their the fat woman act.
Yes.
And the, just sitting and eating massive quantities, like hot dog eating contest
Right.
kind of things,
I'm getting the image of like the opera singer from the Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yes, and that is kind of what she hopes to evolve into, because she fancies herself a very talented singer and performer, and, over time has come to believe that sideshow work is beneath her. And so she has kind of, a bit of a grudge, a chip on her shoulder towards, like, traveling, circus troops and acts like that. Because
Right.
she didn't exactly have a great time and, made her money basically by being ridiculed.
Hey, could have been worse. She could have been one of the
Pointed at.
pinheads.
Right,
Or bearded.
right. So, she's not a terribly attractive woman, but she has a magnetic, charismatic personality. She is funny and feisty and loud and, just full of laughter and mirth, and all of her chins are constantly
All of her
jiggling with her
chins.
laughter. She's definitely a prima donna. She has delusions of grandeur at this point. She's just a level 1. She don't, she's made kind of a name for herself, but at this point, still, you ain't shit, honey. Yeah, and hey, stop. Could you not?
I don't know what's got.
She's got her claws stuck in my binder.
I don't know
Stop.
what's gotten into her. Tessie.
So she wasn't able to grip the shoe protector.
Yeah, she didn't have thumbs. So.
Yeah.
From a kind of mechanics point of view, as opposed to a role play point of view, I intend to play her as like a buff class. I can see her on the fringe of battle.
So no negative to your constitution this time?
No, no negative to my constitution. She's got a pretty high constitution. She's a tough girl.
I'm sure.
Yeah, strength is her second highest stat.
What's her race?
She's a human.
Nice.
I'm gonna try to play her true neutral. She's very self-serving, but not, not evil or wicked or,
Right.
she has her standards about, how far she's willing to go for personal success and,
Right.
she does think of herself as kind of a highfalutin lady now, and many things are beneath her.
Right.
Just due to how she likes to, carry herself these days and the people that she likes to, keep company with.
Okay. So this deck has already been shuffled.
Right.
These cards are for your eyes only. You don't need to tell me what's on the card, and you probably don't want to read it out loud.
But you know what all of them are. You just don't know who's going to get them.
I haven't read all of them, but at any point, you can decide to reveal your secret. That's entirely up to you.
This campaign's going to level 10.
Probably 10 to 15-ish,
Okay.
somewhere in that range. Yeah, it's not, I mean, after having played Dragon Heist and Dungeon of the Mad Mage, this is going to seem like a really short campaign. I mean, and I have discovered that a lot of these, I ran the group. There was my Saturday group. I ran through Curse of Strahd, and I don't think Curse of Strahd, when you're playing it weekly and you've got 4-hour games every week, I don't think we lasted a full 9 months in that game.
Right.
I mean, it went like
Not
that.
all campaigns are 22,
Yeah, no.
23
Well,
level long,
Dungeon of the Mad Mage-
insane fucking dungeon
Dungeon
crawl.
of the Mad Mage was the first campaign that went through all the way to 20. So, and thank God there's only one, because I will tell you, I converted Tomb of Annihilation to a high level campaign, and it's coming to an end soon. And not Tomb of Annihilation. Well, yeah, Tomb of Annihilation that went into Descent into Avernus. And I am not a fan of high-level campaigns. I think that a campaign that ends between 10 and 15 is perfectly fine. It starts to get too weird. It's like, you get to like level...
I agree with you, but I'm just glad that I've had the experience of
Been able to
playing
do
a
it,
character
right.
all the way to level 4.
Yeah, it just starts to get too weird. It's like, from a DM standpoint, you have the option of racking your brain trying to find creatures that are, or beefing up creatures to be a challenge to the party.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
you can just,
kind of had a challenging party. There were 7 of
Right.
us. Like,
Or
how
you
do you engage difficulty with that many
Right.
high level players?
exactly.
And I was looking at some of the stats and stuff for the adventure too, like, oh, piss on that.
Right. Yeah, it just
You know,
didn't
like-
matter. And see, and that's where it ends up going. Pretty much with every DM I've ever talked to, is it just doesn't matter. So fuck it. You just do whatever you want. So you may draw a card.
So they're all face down, right?
Yes. Okay. So, Liam, what is? Hold on here. Let me get back in here. What is your character's name?
His name is Crypt, and he's a dragonborn barbarian who was raised by a clan of Goliaths.
Okay, that's complicated.
Yeah. That's Liam's style.
Any more into background with Crypt?
He doesn't really know where he came from, nor does he care. Crypt was the nickname he was given to because he was found at the foot of an ancient crypt. He suspects that he has some sort of dark secret that he doesn't know anything about, or something that connects to him.
Okay.
He's kind of serious, but like dark.
What's his alignment?
He is true neutral. He does.
Okay.
He kind of does not care about gods.
So you
or
probably
anything at all,
you were
like that at
if
all.
you were raised by Goliath and you're coming from local to Icewind Dale,
Mhm.
probably way up in the spine of the world mountains,
Yeah.
because Goliaths tend to live way up there. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, he knows the lands pretty well, the mountains pretty well.
We have a doorbell.
I do. Okay.
So
You may draw a secrets card. Now, there's one secrets card in there that if you were to draw it, it would be very interesting since you don't know anything about your real background. It would be interesting to find out why you are the way you are. It's a long story. So yeah, you can keep those cards. You can tell people when and if. I mean, you may not tell anybody anything ever in the entire campaign, or depending on what your secret is, it may come into play. You might say, now is a good time to reveal this because it would give the party an advantageous situation, or there's a number of reasons. So that is strictly for you. Okay, so now that I've had to, because so I had this whole thing planned out. So reading through this, it is it's a clusterfuck. So here we go. Rime of the Frostmaiden is a open sandbox campaign, which I like that. But when you're
directions to go, you mean?
right, when you're trying to, so the first chapter is massive, and it's about all of the 10 towns, and that map right behind you lists all of the 10 towns. All those little black dots are the 10 towns. So going through the first chapter and having decided where you were starting, so the chapter, of course, logically, is in alphabetical order. That doesn't mean that that has anything to do with your geographical location. And so I had to come in here to the map and be like, okay, where are they going to go? And, I had to plot it out. And I was like, I don't have to read this whole chapter all at once. All I need to do is read the 2 directions that they're going to be able to go so that I can get a handle on this. Because if not, I've got all this useless information that may or may not ever be used. And I'm much more, not that I want to railroad it, but it's not like you're going to leave Bryn Chan and go all the way to Caer Dineval and not make any of the stops in between, So, yeah, plotting this out was
A little tricky.
a little bit of a job. It's very much like Storm King's Thunder. I had the same problem when I first read it. I was like, I don't know where to start or where I'm supposed to go with this, because it's just, oh, well, here's this entire valley and blah, blah, blah.
my character might die.
I don't
secret.
need to know. Don't tell me it's a secret.
Why? I
It's a
can
secret.
tell you.
You can tell me if you want to, but
I'm gonna tell you. Probably.
can you spoil it for me?
I'll reveal it at a dramatic moment.
Oh yes, be dramatic. Be dramatic, boy.
Yeah.
Alright.
This is alien. This is alien.
Sure.
I'm excited. Glaze. 10 foot reach. Just popping around battle real quick.
Sorry, everybody. We're getting drinks and ready to get started here. Sorry, I keep checking. I'm so paranoid that the stream's gonna go down. So, my Saturday night group had a huge battle where they fought a red dragon and all this other crap, and it was a fantastic battle. The dragon actually, they were fighting in a fort, and the dragon actually got a 1 on its attack and crashed into the gatehouse and destroyed part of the wall, and it was very dramatic, right? And then at the end of the night, everybody leaves after a 5-hour game, and I go to download the video. Oh yeah, the video is fantastic, no audio. So now I'm paranoid, so I keep checking, constantly. So
This is complicating.
This is also complicated.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, everything you just asked me about my character is kind of irrelevant now.
Do you want me to read it?
Well, I mean,
Or do you want to think on it?
well, it means that my backstory is not my backstory, and I'm not who I said I was.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm just confused by it a little. Tassie, stop! You can't.
Well, it's not as bad as the one that I thought.
I'm just, well, like, changes everything that I've been thinking about in terms of, like, role-playing, in terms of, like, my history, where my character
Well, I mean,
comes
this could have
from.
happened first, and then you became.
So we're talking this could doesn't have to be like a recent event, I guess. Like, it could be quite a while back.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, how old is your character? Like,
I mean, I had wanted to put her maybe in her, late 20s.
yeah, it could have happened. When she was 20 years old.
As a child, maybe.
So no, that could lead to how you know Crypt.
Okay.
Because
So,
so perhaps those trappers didn't know what to do with you either, and so in part of their trading, they left you with the Goliaths, and that's kind of how you learn to be you.
Interesting.
Yes.
It's a weird one.
It is a weird one. Well, it's not as weird as the one I was worried that it was. Because there's another one, your whole background would be just, whatever, this is all BS. So, we will start with the cold open. Icewind Dale has become trapped in a perpetual winter. Ferocious blizzards make the mountain pass through the spine of the world exceedingly treacherous, and this land has not felt the warmth of the sun in over 2 years. In fact, the sun no longer appears above the mountains, not even in what should be the height of summer. In this frozen tundra, darkness and bitter cold reign as king and queen. Most Dale residents blame Auril, the Frostmaiden, the god of winter's wrath. The shimmering aurora that weaves across the sky each night is said to be her doing, a potent spell that keeps the sun at bay. Dale folk live in a scattering of settlements known as the Ten Towns. The drop-off in caravans coming from the south and travel between the settlements in this never-ending winter has left everyone feeling isolated. Although each town is resolved to appease the Frostmaiden with sacrifices of one kind or another, no respite from the winter's fury seems forthcoming. For adventurers such as yourselves, 10 Towns is a place to test one's mettle, and in the spirit of heroes who have come before, leave one's mark on this frigid and blighted land. So, you, both of you, I mean, it's kind of, like I said, that just makes things easier. Both of you know each other. And you come down out of the mountains to the town of Bryn Chan. Now, Bryn Chan, as far as the 10 towns, so the 10 towns are all isolated settlements, anywhere from 10 to 15 miles apart, but Bryn Chan is kind of the unofficial capital of the 10 towns, or Icewind Dale. And the Bryn Chan, in fact, has a meeting hall where the town speaker representative of each of these towns will come down to Bryn Chan, and where all of the 10 towns speakers can meet, and they can all discuss their, whatever is going on with their town, or talk about what it is that they need. Bryn Chan is actually a walled town. Imagine like a frontier walled town. So it's timber walls, not stone, not like a castle. But in times of great distress, all of the other towns can evacuate and everybody travel to Bryn Chan and hunker down. And this kind of situation was seen in the past when Driss and Jarl Axel and several others came to the region. In fact, there is, if I remember correctly, and I don't remember seeing it in the book, but there is a statue of Jarl Axel Banray out in the tundra before Bryn Chan in a heroic pose, as he helped fend off evil forces that were coming to attack the 10 towns. Jarl Axel is a ne'er-do-well, but he's not entirely bad. And it's funny that I bring that up because their previous characters have a lot of experience with Jarl Axel.
Yay!
So, as you come into Bryn Chan, and during the day, the gates in the wooden palisade are open, and then at night they close them. And there are town militia guards that, walk up and down the streets. The militias for these towns are not what you might expect in more civilized regions. Bryn Chan can bring up, Bryn Chan is a big town. They can bring up a force of 250 soldiers. And that would be 250 tribal warrior statistic out of the back of the book. Tribal warrior troops with 20 veterans. Everybody. So write down on your character sheets. You both get one set of cold weather clothing.
Already written it down.
Oh, you already got it. Okay.
I wrote it as fur cloth, fur clothing. Yes, fur cloth.
Yep. And so, as you come into Bryn Chan, it is really cold. There has not been a summer in 2 years. So, now, in the cold open, they say that the sun doesn't even rise above the mountains. This is true. The sun does not rise as high as it should. So there is the daylight in Bryn Chan, or in the Dale lands, is a perpetual twilight. It comes up to like that time just before dark and stays there and that's your day, and then it goes down and it's dark. So, now, the other interesting thing, and let me, for your benefit, I will bring up a map of Bryn Chan itself, hopefully. So here. Yeah, that's a good one.
Reminds me of Attack on Titan. Knucklehead.
You know, I can do better than that. Well, no, that's okay. But just in case, I shall download the image. So this is Bryn Chan.
Why we really thought.
There's a north gate. Actually, now that I downloaded it, let me see if I can make this picture better. Give me a little more control over it. There we go. Whoops. So there's a southwest gate, an east gate, and a north gate leading into Bryn Chan, and all of these locations are different sections, places in the town. There is a temple in town, specifically called the House of the Morning Lord. However, if I remember correctly, the House of the Morning, yes, it's in the market square, but the House of the Morning Lord is not a temple to Lathander. It's actually a temple to Aminatar, and the priest that works there, named Mishon, is a avid priest of Aminatar, and he refers to Aminatar as the Morning Lord, and believes ardently that one of two things has happened: that either Lathander is a an avatar of Aminatar, or maybe an aspect of Aminatar, or that Lathander is a filthy, cheap copy of Aminatar. And the weird thing about Aminatar and Lathander is that they both have kind of the same. They have the same profile. It's really weird. Like, they both do the same thing. Aminatar being the Lord of the Sun, but Lathander being the Lord of the Sun just rising in the morning. It's very peculiar. But yeah, there's numerous places in Bryn Chan, including Grindaryl's Emporium, and it's a large town. And as you're coming into the town, you just arrived, and coming down the street, a bundled up figure walks briskly up to you. Well met. You look like a lot that seems like you're looking for work or trouble. You wouldn't be standing around in this cold otherwise.
I mean, I'm not gonna say this, but my character would be standing around in this cold.
Oh yeah.
He'd been living in this cold for like 20 years, so.
It's even too cold for you guys. I mean, you guys have lived here a while. You're both northerners. This is even too cold for you.
Rhonda pulls her furs up over her chins and snuggles her face down into them.
I imagine like a whole bunch of seal and wolf fur. And...
Ah. Well, then point us to a fire and a warm meal, you fool.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Follow me. And you notice that it's hard to tell anybody apart because everybody's wearing their furs.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's just all hunkered down, snuggled in.
Both of you make perception checks.
22.
22?
I rolled a 19. I have a +3.
Wow, that's not bad for a level 1 character.
I mean, I'm proficient.
First
in it.
roll. That's pretty good.
Nah.
So,
Too busy thinking about my own comfort to
He's a perceptive
bother
guy.
looking around.
both of you notice that this person wearing these furs that's talking to you, it's even hard to see much of people's faces. That's how buried into these hoods they are. That's how cold it is. But you realize that this person is slight of build, and just from hearing the voice, you can tell that it's probably a female. And she introduces herself as Danica Gracefield. But you notice, out of the corner of your eye, around the corner of a building in an alley between two buildings, Crypt sees a fairly tall individual. They look like they're about 6'5" to 7 feet tall.
I tower over them,
But I mean, for most of the people that
Yeah.
you see. And you realize that it's not a person at all. It's actually 3 kobolds standing on each other's shoulders with human cold weather clothes wrapped around them.
Oh, Lord.
And they're kind of looking about, and Danica sees you looking at them, and she turns and she looks and she says, "Oh, don't worry about them. Kobolds do that sometimes when they get frightened. They jump on each other's shoulders and try to blend in with the people of the town. We all know they're here, but
All right.
maybe you guys scared them as you came into town." Kobolds are not a unusual sight. You probably wouldn't be all that shocked seeing them in a settlement.
Yeah.
Now, if you were from someplace like Waterdeep, you'd be like, "What the hell are kobolds doing walking around?" It's just not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So, no, that's the wrong town. See, this is what I'm talking about. She takes you to a location called the North Look Inn and Tavern. And the first thing that you see hanging over the bar is a placard about this big with a stuffed knucklehead trout stuck to it. And underneath it on a brass placard, it says, "Old Bitey."
Oh,
Nice.
bitey.
And actually, it's not over the bar. It's over the beam in front of the bar, so you can actually come up and touch Old Bitey.
Yeah. So big. Knucklehead trout. Massive.
And knucklehead trout are ugly, hence the name. They are, I mean, they actually make sturgeon look attractive.
Yeah.
Sturgeon are an ugly fish. And she leads you over to a table near the roaring fire. There's a hearth in here that is probably 6 feet tall and about 4 feet wide, and it has a blazing fire in it. And she leads you over and she pulls the hood of her cloak back. She tells you, as the first thing that she does is she calls over the barmaid and she orders a round, and she says, "Don't worry, it's on me. Order whatever you would like to eat." And they have
They're gonna be impressed at how much an ex-professional eater can eat.
I'm sure they have wild reindeer that has been roasting over the fire. They've got they're very popular on a chowder made from knucklehead trout. And she says, "Order what you like." And she looks at you and says, "You know what? You just bring us a little bit of everything."
Played a teetotaler this time around, too.
Eats a lot but does not drink.
No, that's beneath her. She's been around all the drunken, slappy people, and it's just disgusting. Ugh.
So now that you're near the fire and she's pulled her hood back, you realize that Danica Greysteel is actually an elf.
Greysteel is a very unusual last name. I thought she was going to be like a human or a dwarf or something.
No, she's an elf. She told you that she is a scholar, and she thinks there's a problem going around Bryn Chan right now, and the problem is that somebody has been stealing things from pretty much everybody, but they're not of anything of any real importance. A fork goes missing from a silverware drawer here. A butter knife goes missing from a silverware drawer in the tavern. A mug goes missing. A tin plate goes missing from the outfitters. In a lot of cases, there have been several arguments have been started where proprietors, such as the proprietor of the outfitters, has blamed a completely innocent customer of stealing his flatware.
It's
She
not
says-
the kobolds, is it?
It's probably kobolds.
That's where I'd look first, the kobolds.
She says, no, I think it's even stranger than kobolds. I mean, kobolds, they might steal a pewter tankard or two, but usually they're at least smart enough to go for something valuable. And when I say smart, I mean worldly, which sounds strange when you're talking about kobolds, but she says, no, you see, I'm a scholar and I study elementals. And I think there are wee elemental spirits at play here. I found evidence that they exist here around Bryn Chan, and I think that they may be responsible for stealing these mundane items. She says, but I'm a scholar. I read books and scrolls. I don't go out into the field. But if you were to do some field work for me, I would pay you each 25 gold pieces, and she reaches into her pack, which is basically just a leather satchel that's kind of hung around her waist like or slung across her chest. It's a piece of rope that's kind of like a hammock. She opens it up and she pulls out a lantern, and she says, and I will give you a lantern of tracking elementals, which should help you in finding these wee creatures.
Really does not get.
Does this broad really want us going hunting for little fire fairies or whatever the hell it is she's looking
No,
for?
not fire fairies. They're actually known as Twingas.
I mean, it's not like we're headed anywhere in a hurry.
And it's money.
25 gold can get you good, high quality food.
The barmaid comes over with a large platter that has a large haunch of reindeer on it that is just looks scrumptious. It's been slow cooking all day. And she brings over a small cast iron Dutch oven of knucklehead chowder. And then she goes back and she returns with 2 flagons of the best ale.
I take them both.
I wave it away like all yours.
I don't show when I get drunk. You can tell when I get drunk because I just get real quiet. Like, I never speak. I'm just. Yeah.
That's a good trait to have. Sometimes I say too much.
So if we're traveling companions coming down out of the mountains or something together, I'm not built for combat or made for it. I'm not all that, like...
Danica says, "Oh, I don't believe Chwingas to be dangerous. Mischievous. Mirthful. But I don't believe there's ever been a case of a Chwinga attacking anyone." She says, "They're from Chult, you know."
What are they doing way up here?
Yeah.
Goodness.
It's funny that you asked that, because I had the same question. You see, for some reason, a whole bunch of people from Chult, way down south, came up to the frigid north and have made their lives here.
Why aren't you talking to them? Obviously, they brought their little weird spirits with them.
When I do, I've attempted this, but when I do bring it up, all of the people from Chult that I've spoken to spit at the ground and make some weird sign in the air and refuse to talk about it. Like they're warding themselves. But Chwinga aren't dangerous.
They could be seen as bad luck.
She goes, everything I've read says Chwinga aren't dangerous. I'm going to be honest, I can't even prove that they exist.
Well, you've got this elemental finding lantern, and you're a scholar of whatever renown.
Oh, I've looked.
What makes you think that we'll be any more successful?
Well, like I said, I'm not a field researcher. I don't do well out in the elements and out in the wilderness.
So you want us to go beyond the comfort and safety of the walls here in town with this spirit tracking lantern and do what? See if we can find one?
Certainly.
Should we question it? What? How do you expect
Perhaps
us
you
to-
can make friends with it, and it'll come back, and then I can examine it and write details about it.
Well, I mean, we could look. No harm in looking, right?
I can track fairly well. Plus 30 survival.
So, what is your class?
Huh? A barbarian.
You're a barbarian, okay, and you're a bard, right? I mean, this almost writes itself. The barbarian and the bard, and I've just got this image of like the dragonborn with the axe and like the opera singer with the helmet, the two horns, yeah, and the braids.
I don't have an axe, I have a glaive.
A
because
glaive,
I
yes.
read that it has 10-foot reach. So
Yes, that is correct.
And it still does 1d10 damage, which is pretty big. So
Yeah. Now see, if you'd been a human, you could have started with a feat, and you could have taken Polearm Master, and then at level 4 taken Great Weapon Master, and that would have been brutal. I mean, you can still do it 4 and 8. I'm just saying.
yeah.
So she says, "You'll take a look." She says,
Very
"Well,
30 gold pieces for me though.
make a."
I'm not extremely yeah. My charisma's fine. I can talk to people. Fine.
Yeah, make a persuasion check.
8.
I'm sorry, 25 is as high as I can go. I mean, unless your friend would accept only 20.
Do you care about money? My guy is.
I would think you'd care a little bit
He's
about money. I mean,
obsessed
that's
with
the
money.
whole reason why you were in the traveling
Yeah.
freak shows. I'm sorry, circuses.
Sideshows, freak shows, all that business. I'm sure we can come to an arrangement. I intend to set up and, with the innkeeper's permission, perhaps put on a small performance this evening.
Okay.
I roll my eyes. It's a waste of time. Singing is a waste of time.
Well, she honestly thinks she could make better money by, using her natural born talents, but if you need someone to come along and help you out on this, you're really, you're more of a mercenary looking type than myself.
You both notice that somebody comes up to the bar, he's a dwarf, and he's ordering from the bartender, an old bitey, starts moving around on the plaque, kind of like one of those fish that
Billy the Bass.
Billy Bass, except it's snapping at him, like trying to bite him, and then it calms down and stands still, and he goes, old bitey. And then the fish breaks into song. And it says, there's a place I like to go, farther up the river's flow. Whether it is, I do not know, must be under all that snow. And then stop singing.
This is a bizarre town.
Tis a silly place.
Let's not go to Camelot. On second thought, tis a silly place.
Silly.
Let's go to Castle Anthrax. So she says, well, as a matter of course, she calls over the barmaid and she says, can you please go fetch me the cook? Well, he's kind of busy at the moment. It'll just take a moment. It's very important. All right. And out of the back comes this stout woman wearing an apron. She says, yeah, what can I do for you? And she says, would you please tell us about the items of silverware and cutlery that seem to be missing? Oh, yeah. It was the damnedest thing. I couldn't find my favorite knife, and several of our forks, spoons, and butter knives were missing. And the back door was left open. And when I looked into the back, I could see little footprints leading off into the snow.
How little?
Oh, they must only have been about that big. I think they're fairies.
Were they clawed or just?
No, they
How
just.
many toes on the feet?
I didn't see any toes. They looked like they were wearing boots.
Tiny boots.
So that's not kobolds. It's not kobolds.
Yeah, no, their feet were only like this big. They were tiny. I think the fae are involved.
You might be right.
All right. We'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
Okay.
But it would help if you put us up tonight as well.
You could put
The-
her up while sleeping outside.
The
Well,
cook,
no, I don't
the
want
cook
to.
says, well, that was my favorite butcher knife. Well, hold on. And she goes over and she talks to the barkeep. He goes, all right. And so you are put up
For
with
the night.
room and lodging for the night. Or lodging and food for the night.
And I'll also offer to sing and entertain.
That's perfectly acceptable. So, are you going to get started immediately, or do you want to perform first?
I would rather perform first, but I have a question.
Okay.
If I have tool proficiencies with a disguise kit, and an instrument, does that mean I get to add my proficiency bonus when I use them?
Correct.
So if I'm making a performance check with my drum,
Huh?
but I already have proficiency in performance, do I get to also add proficiency for the drum?
It doesn't mean that you have expertise, which is that would be what that would be. If you add so back up. So if you have proficiency in a tool, it means that you can use it. If you don't have proficiency in a tool, you're at disadvantage.
So how does a proficiency with performance combine with a proficiency with a musical instrument?
Well, it depends on the musical instrument. So are you're proficient with a drum?
Yes.
are you proficient with a violin?
No.
So if you picked up a violin, even though you have proficiency in performance, you would be at disadvantage. But because you have proficiency in performance, you could still add your proficiency bonus to your roll. Does that make sense? So with a drum, it's a regular d20 plus your, let's say, performance would be charisma plus your proficiency bonus. If you picked up another instrument like a violin, you would only add your charisma, you would add your charisma and your proficiency bonus, but you would be at disadvantage because you don't know how to play the violin. Does that make sense?
So I get advantage.
No. No. So now here's where I don't know, in the future you might be able to take this because there are some feats and abilities that you can take that'll do this. If you get the opportunity, you could say, well, I'm going to take expertise in performance. So what that means is that, just like with your rogue, it would mean that you would add your proficiency bonus twice to your performance. But as far as like your instrument, you're only proficient in using drums. So it's just like, oh, well, I'm a rogue, so I'm proficient in hand crossbow swords. You know how to use a drum. But if you were to pick up a violin or a flute, you would be at disadvantage for having to use that because you're not proficient in it.
Got it. Same for disguise kit. So if I want to use is it a deception check?
It could be a deception check. It could also be a performance check.
Right. So, okay.
That's the one thing I like about D&D is the skills are very, this does this does that. Whereas in Traveler, it's like, this skill could actually go,
apply to this,
it could
apply to
apply
that.
1,000 different ways. Who knows?
Okay.
I mean, technically you can do that with D&D too, but I prefer to just keep it simple. I prefer the KISS method. Keep
Alright.
it simple, stupid.
For sure. Well, yeah, I will totally finish my dinner with my business there and, prepare to sing a rousing song.
Okay. Go ahead and make a performance check.
I'll need a place to, get into costume. I have three costumes.
As the evening drags on, you notice that more and more people are coming in. Several of the people that come in are leaving fishing poles near the door. So the big thing in all of the 10 towns is fishing for the knucklehead trout. And the knucklehead trout are so big that that a artwork of scrimshaw has basically, that's a big thing in the 10 towns. And they actually export scrimshaw, so like you can get like scrimshaw handles for knives. That's how big knucklehead trout are. They're they got
Ivory like bones.
they got like
research.
yeah, quite large bones. And so out of the two lakes, there's Loch Dinishir and Loch Dualden. Or no, Maridwalden? Yeah. These two lakes are stocked with these knucklehead trout. Now, right now, and for the past 2 years, and you can see this as these fishermen come in and put their poles aside, they're also, a lot of times, they've got like a rope tied around their waist and they're putting a saw down. They can't even go out in boats. They have to go out on the ice, saw a hole into the ice to do their fishing. Not that the lakes are completely frozen over, but it's an issue. and this has been going on for 2 years. So these guys come in, they look tired, they look worn. Their skin has that look. It's almost similar to like being out in the sun too long, but it's not from
Leathered.
being out in the cold.
Leathered.
Yeah, it is leathered, but it's definitely, you can look at it like, ooh, that's from cold. I mean, there's a difference. They're similar, but you can, yeah, that's from cold. And these,
I lived in
that's,
Alaska, Chris.
that you,
15
so you know
years I lived
exactly.
in Alaska.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
15 years in
Yeah.
Alaska. Yes, I know what the cold.
Yeah,
Like it's almost shrink wrapped.
yeah,
You know, and
yeah.
kind of like.
I mean,
yeah.
leathered is a perfect term if you've ever had like leather that got too wet and dried too
Salty.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just
Salty
kind of.
So I rolled. All right. I went to the bathroom. Spent quite a little while in there. I put on a dark maroon, very dark wine red dress. She did her makeup all in very, we'll call it Lady Macbethian.
Okay.
Kind of sunken
I
eyes.
feel an opera coming on.
Oh yes, and she's going to sing a very, operatic, like, I am the dead wife, you know what I mean? This is my ghostly song, and these are, I long for the days where I used to be in the sun, and I long for my husband, I long for the touch of my children. It's a long, creepy fucking ballad, but it's moving and very, stirring,
What'd you get for your roll?
24.
Okay.
Hopefully that they respond well to that shit. They're miserable bastards.
They do.
As she's doing that, I'm searching around like the outside of the
tavern.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
little lantern, just doing a little
kind of.
perimeter
But
check.
I don't really like my character doesn't put much stock in magic or gods or that kind of stuff. He relies on his own skills mostly.
Okay. So your performance, you get tipped 1 gold, 2 silver pieces, and 8 copper.
1 gold, 2 silver, 8 copper.
Now that may not sound like much, but that, I mean, 1 gold for, the peasantry is actually, somebody liked you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to take this opportunity to go take a whiz and have a smoke.
okay,
You guys do your thing.
make your survival check.
I'm pretty good at that's a 17.
Okay. So, you go outside, and obviously, from when this happened was actually a couple of days ago, so the snow and the wind has completely obliterated any tracks. But the cook points out their back door of the tavern and points in the direction, and you kind of follow. And it doesn't take you too long. And you come to a... Sorry, my map just... Oh, my mouse turned up. It all timed out. So, you go from... Let's see, where is... This was the Northwood, wasn't it? I don't remember. This is a new town for me. This is my first time. Yes, it was the Northwood. So the Northwood, yeah, the Northwood up here, right up here.
Yes.
So you go out the back door of the Northwood, and you find that where they pointed, you find slight traces of half filled in little tiny footprints, and they go between the logs of the wall and lead off past the north gate, off into the wilderness. You find that there is evidence that the cook was not lying, that there are tiny footprints. But at this point, like, you look under, like, there's like a small bush,
or a small tree where the snow is undisturbed underneath the branches. You see tiny half-filled footprints.
Tiny little feet.
Yep. I know that probably these aren't going to be there in the morning, so I'm going to keep looking with the lantern.
Well, in order to keep looking, you'd have to leave the north gate, but the north gate is closed for the night. The guards tell you that you can go ahead and leave if you'd like, but we may not be able to let you back in.
If they can't, I mean, that wouldn't be a huge deal for me. I mean, like, yeah, it's going to be cold, but I mean, for the last year, 2 years, in this cold, I've been in the mountains
I
too.
didn't even hear a ding dong.
Oops, shit, neither did I.
Anyways,
Well, sweet.
Yeah.
I bring you a plate, paper towels.
Okay.
All right, we will take a break here,
Okay.
and you guys can do pizza. We'll be right back, everybody. It's not as much fun when we don't have so many people because there's usually always somebody around the table talking, but we are running on fumes today. Go for it. Refuel.
I think I will probably the gate.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I think I'm probably gonna leave the gate.
Okay. All right. Just enough. So, are you going to let Hronda know first before you leave the gate?
No.
No, you're just gonna leave.
I'm just gonna go. I can handle myself fairly well. I mean,
Okay. Make another survival check.
Mm.
14.
Okay. So you end up losing the trail that you believed you were following. Make another survival check.
Okay. Sweet 19.
Okay, so you don't get lost out in the tundra, but a blizzard is starting to come in. The wind is picking up, and the snow is swirling about. In the distance behind you, through the haze, you can see the wall of Bryn Chan is now like a dark shadow. And as the blizzard is picking up, it's getting even harder to see that.
So I've lost the trail I thought it was following. I'm gonna start trying to head back the direction I came and like follow my own footprints, I guess. If I can't see the shadows still, I guess.
Okay, so you're able to make it back to the gate, to the north gate of Bryn Chan. Cassie, just put her on the floor. She doesn't need to be up there. Hey,
Are you a silly stinky cat?
she's a
Silly
brat.
stinker. You're a silly stinker.
She's not a brat. So last night she comes into the, well, no, not last night. This morning. So my alarm is usually set to go off at 9:30. I'm usually up way before that because my wife's goes off at 7:30. So we both usually roll out of bed about 8. At 6 o'clock, she comes into the bedroom, sits right in front of my nightstand, stares me in the face, and is like, meow, 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 meow. And I'm like, the
Was
fuck?
that you? Was that you, Tessie? Did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, silly kitty.
Yes. So you make it back to the north gate, and roll a survival check.
Okay. $14.
The gates are already shut.
I can't get back in.
Well, I mean, you can knock.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna knock.
Okay. Luckily for you, the guard who had let you out, you hear the bar, the beam lift from locking the gate on the inside, and you see these gates are like 20 feet tall, and then there's a normal person-sized door cut into one of them, and you hear the beam lift up and the door open up and you go, yeah, you didn't get very far, did you? Yeah, this blizzard's gonna be a bad one. You better get back in.
Thanks.
And he calls you back in, he lets you back inside, and he shuts the door and he goes, oh, you better get somewhere warm, this is gonna be a bad one. You can already see that at the top of the parapets that there is icicles forming and they're blowing sideways from the wind. So you finish up your performance and you're collecting your tips, and you get to meet the individual that left the gold piece. And it's a dwarf. And he comes up.
Was it the dwarf that got snapped at by the fish, or a different?
Yes.
Oh.
Hold on. No?
Working on a sneeze, but it's not quite there yet. It's in the chamber, but it's not firing. This dwarf comes up, and you notice that he's actually there with 3 other stocky figures bundled in cold weather garb that are stumbling towards you. They have snowshoes slung over their backs and ice picks fastened to their belts. And 2 of them have thick beards. The third one holds up a gloved hand to shake your hand. Says, through a thick wool scarf and a raspy voice, says, "Well met. You sing beautifully."
Oh, always happy to meet an admirer.
That nice coin is from me. My name is Hronda, and these are my friends, Korux and Storn.
Much obliged, Hronda.
We are in need of help, and you and your friend look capable, although I don't know where your friend went. And you now notice, you look around, you do not see Crypt.
Perhaps he turned in early.
He calls you over and he says, "Oh, yes, Barmaid, bring more food. Bring some more of that wonderful reindeer." And again, she brings over a platter of reindeer meat and lays it out for you and the dwarves. The
Don't
dwarves
mind if I do.
they're not
Worked
even,
up an appetite.
the dwarves just have a flagon of meat each. They're not even bothering with cups. They're just drinking straight from the pitcher. "We are the survivors of a group of dwarves tasked with delivering a sled of iron ingots to Bryn Chan. A Yeti surprised us and killed a member of our group, not far from you. The rest of us fled as the Yeti tore Ubak limb from limb. Now we need someone to go back and get the sled for us. As payment, I offer each of you a gemstone. It's worth 50 gold pieces. And the friendship of the dwarves of Icewind Dale and all of the Battlehammer clan. It is a boon in these harsh times. You will need snowshoes, so we will give you some to make the trip a good time."
What's that, honey? You need someone to get your sled for you.
Yes, from those filthy, filthy goblins.
I'll do it.
Well, I'll have to talk to my friend, but a delicate lady like myself.
What color of dragonborn are you?
Black, and that's why he likes coins so much, because
So-
black dragons are obsessed with coins.
So it's unfortunate that you're a black dragon because you don't have natural immunity to the cold.
No, I know.
So from behind the bar, from where the kitchen door is, and actually this is the bar. So if you, I know it's been completely tassified, but this is the door to the kitchen. And there's a little half-lit cook back here, and then this is. Oh, actually, I guess I did this wrong. Anyways, this is the kitchen, and this is the bedroom. I messed that up. But anyways, so this kitchen is quite large. And so you see him come in from here, or come out here, and he comes out from behind the bar. And when he comes out, you can see that there are icicles hanging from his lower jaw and his horns. And some of the ones on his horns are sideways, is how hard the wind is blowing outside.
Ha. Speak of the dragon. Crypt, over here.
Alright. Been a track that us for long. Found a few footprints. Eventually let outside the gates to nothing.
Footprints? You mean little tiny ones like the ones they were talking about?
Yep.
The dwarf, I already forgot their names. That's how important these dwarves are. Hronda.
Hronda.
Hronda the dwarf looks at you and goes, "Chwinga? That's a myth. There's no such thing as Chwinga.
What else around here leaves tiny little feet?
Fae. There's no such thing as Chwinga. Yeah, there's fairies, but there's no such thing as Chwinga.
What's the difference?
Well, the Fae are from the Feywild. But the whole idea of Chwinga are like tiny, itty bitty little
Red share.
elementals. The only elementals that we know of are big, strong fire elementals that fire the forges of Gontalgrim, like a primordial. There's no such thing as Trigger. Elemental forces don't mess with things so small.
Big elementals, big concerns. Small elementals. Small
bigger concern.
Small silverware concerns, I suppose.
The bigger concern is the Yeti.
Yeti, you say?
Yes. Well, I was telling your friend here, a Yeti attacked my group. Tore poor Ubak limb from limb right before our eyes. We actually had to flee. We couldn't fight such a foul beast.
And now they want the sled back.
And we left a sled full of iron ingots that we were to bring here to Bryn Chan. But we can't go after it ourselves. But we're offering each of you a gemstone worth 50 gold pieces. And the friendship of the Battlehammer Dwarves of Icewind Dale.
I'm sure that Crypt's clan has had some experience with the Battlehammer Dwarves.
Oh, you know that all over this region. So there are numerous mines and whatnot all over the mountain, Kelvin's Cairn,
Yeah.
that is owned by, it's well known, that's owned by Battlehammer clan. Which I find a little bit funny that they're this far north. But it all fits in.
Had a bunch of the non-sweet justice, so.
Gotcha.
Of the Sweet Justice. What?
So we all know who the Battlehammers are.
Oh yeah, everybody in the 10 towns knows who the Battlehammers are. And you've heard the stories, couple hundred years past of Dristern and Brunner Battlehammer, coming through, even Jarl Axel Banray. 100 years ago, they were back up in the region.
Yeah. Well, certainly won't be going anywhere with the weather looking like that.
Oh, blizzards come in. It's not why Yetis, especially tonight. I mean, not only would you get lost in the blizzard, but Yetis get ferocious in blizzards. Their blood boils. But about that time, you see a red-haired human gentleman with a long, luscious red beard, wearing a pirate's hat and a black fur cloak, comes up and he says, "Milady, you sing beautifully." And he flips a gold coin onto the table.
Ooh, my lord.
2 whole gold.
Hey.
Hey, I'm
And
killing it. I'm killing it out
Yeah,
here.
for level
That's-
1, that's...
It's kind of big, yeah.
And he says, I haven't heard music that beautiful since there were operas sung in Luskin.
Luskin. Where's that?
You all know Luskin is the city of the closest northern city. If you look at the map, at the very top of the coastline is Luskin. Luskin is the city that is known to be, everybody knows it is the city run by pirates.
Yeah, eventually.
He says, "Oh, I have not heard music that
Stop it.
beautiful."
You're tearing up my character sheets. Stop.
You could put her
You're
out
being
and
naughty.
shut the door.
You're being naughty.
She's been a brat.
You're naughty kitty. But you can't tear up my character sheets, man.
Sadly, the opera house in Luskin has not heard beauty such as this in many years.
I'm so very, very flattered. And who do I owe the pleasure of this conversation?
I knew you were going to ask that. God damn it.
Sorry. My bad.
Hold on.
What's his name?
his name is... He says, he flips his black cloak to the side and bows and says, I am Beniago Kurth, High Captain of Lusk.
Shantae, Captain Kurth.
Crypt just rolls his eyes at all the formalities. He doesn't care at all.
Both of you make perception checks.
12.
9.
You know, Crypt, you notice as he flips his cloak aside and makes a bow, you see that he has a beautiful jeweled rapier in a scabbard. This guy drips money. It's like, unfortunately, I'm only in town for a wee bit. I would love to hear you perform again.
Where can I look you up later, honey?
Well, I'm unsure that I'll be in the Dale region. I may be around, but if you're ever in Luskin, please accept my invitation. And he holds out, he goes, flip, and he comes out with a business card. He goes, please, come by my compound if you're ever in Lusk.
Captain Kurth?
Captain Beniago Kurth. You also know he's dressed in all black with like a black fur, and his pirate hat, which is a tricorn, has a long yellow feather sticking out of it.
It's Jarl Axel. It's gotta be Jarl Axel.
Yellow feather. Dripping money.
That was the
Dripping
detail I
money.
was waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this guy looks like ostentatious. Like he's got a ring on every finger. He's got, a gold rope. He's got,
The girl over here is attracted to wealth.
Wow.
We've been looking him up.
He says, I leave in the morning, but I may be in the 10 towns for at least a 10-day. You may look me up in other towns.
I'll do my best.
As you're
Perhaps
finishing
we
your
can even
meal,
arrange a private performance.
the three dwarves are like, Beniago Kurth. He's a high captain. You can't trust pirates. So are you going to help us with our ore shipment or not?
I will. I like gems and coins. I like money. I will help kill the Yeti for you.
All right. And so they leave you both with a set of snowshoes. Because you can't go out into the tundra without these. You're going to get stuck. I know we get stuck. Of course, they're 4'5".
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And why?
He says, when you bring back our ore shipment, we'll have the gems for you.
All right.
And they retire for the evening, and they go upstairs to their rooms. The wind is...
Needy bunch of villagers, am I right?
there's
Just got
question.
here.
There's exclamation points over everybody. The wind is strong enough that you can feel a draft coming up underneath the floorboards from the cellar below. And you can see the fire actually getting fanned from the blizzard. And you can hear the ice and snow hitting the windows.
So you'll notice that my tavern now has some full height walls. I actually used both kits on this so that it would be easier to see, rather than build one whole full-size tavern. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Prestidigitation can be used to create a gust of wind. Can it be used to stifle a gust of wind?
No.
No.
Prestidigitation. The gust of wind that you create with prestidigitation is very similar. Well, actually, it's like
What?
half the effect of like Mage Hand. So Mage Hand can only pick up. Actually, it's 10 pounds, not 5. I looked. So it can only deal with 10 pounds at a time. So the gust of wind is enough for prestidigitation to maybe blow open shutters, but that's about the list of its strength. It'll rattle them if they're hooked. You know, they've got a little clasp on them.
Well, in that case, I'll cast prestidigitation to create faint music
Okay.
in the tavern.
All right.
A little bit of, I don't know, background music noise.
Yes.
So I'm not joking. This dice rolls better when it's warmed up. When it turns green, I've got the color changing dice. When it's black and cold, it rolls like shit. When it's green and warm, it actually rolls decent.
I'm telling you, all the atheist nerds that are so superstitious about their dice, it blows my mind.
Well, no.
I'm there too.
Well, no. It's actually scientific. It is, because when it changes color and it's heated up, it's actually giving off radiation. I don't know that radiation is enough that it is to change the die rolls, but I'm not joking. I watch it every time.
Well, I'm telling you, nerds are about the most superstitious bunch of people I have ever fucking met in my life. Wiccans
I saw
included.
the dumbest post. Oh, well, you know, handmade dice, don't complain about how unbalanced they are. You know, rejoice in their piece of art. And I'm like, the fuck good is dice that's unbalanced?
Yeah.
How does that help
If
me?
it always rolls a 3,
I'm not
then
gonna
it's
buy
not
dice
fucking
to put
random.
on my
It's
wall.
not random.
Yeah, you know. Oh, look at these fantastic dice. Yeah, no. Ew. So, the crowd that has formed in here, and it's getting late, they love the music. There's like a tinkling harp music playing in the background. They're like, oh yeah. And the conversation picks up, and you see multiple people lighting pipes and like, oh yeah, nodding along. But it gets late, and the wind is blustery, and you settle in for the night. And then you hear tiny boot feet on the roof.
Dr. Seuss sneaking around. Dr. Seuss art, kind of like the Grinch sneaking around, kind of.
So around Christmas time, we were doing Curse of Strahd, and I brought out Russian folklore, their version of basically of Santa Claus. It's Dread Maraude and Snegurochka. And I actually wrote an entire adventure for Snegurochka that's on DM's. Yeah, I offer it for free because it's a holiday adventure. And yeah, had to come up with stats, decent stats, usable stats for the shit. What's the demon from Christmas?
Krampus?
Yeah, the Krampus. Yeah, yeah. So I had to come up with stats for Krampus, and yeah, fun stuff. But so you wake up in the morning. It is cold. Your rooms are heated. There is a stone basin in the corner of your room with a bellows at the bottom and just hot charcoal inside, so you can use the bellows to heat it up. And there's a small stack of wood that you can throw on top, heat it up to keep it warm. That's all that there is for heat in here. And the outdoor shutters are just two rickety wooden sets of shutters that close over the windows, and so it's not like they stop a whole lot of wind. There's a big draft coming in.
All right.
You wake up in the morning, and you can, even with the bowl of coals, you can see your breath in your bedroom. But your beds are covered with heavy seal and wolf skins.
Prestidigitation, light a fire.
All right. And so the room that you're in is actually two beds. Hopefully, neither one of you snores. She probably snores.
Oh yes.
She probably snores.
Like a chainsaw.
Yes.
Yeah, I probably don't, because then predators might find me and then get a drop on me.
Both of you
I
make
sleep light.
perception checks.
That's pretty good. Soft 20.
That's pretty good.
Meow.
13.
So, Crypt, you find that somebody has been in your bag, and your ration pack is open, and like a small piece of beef jerky has been taken out and is missing.
Tracking skills activated.
Go ahead. Go ahead and make a survival check.
14. So many 14s tonight. That's 4.
In the floor, on the floor, there's a very fine layer. Not terrible, but around your bed where your pack was, there's a little fine layer of frost on the floor. And you see tiny footprints this big in the frost.
Following them.
They go to the window, like somebody had gone to the window and slipped out in the crack where the two lead panes meet and under the shutter. And when you look out the window on the small rooftop that goes down to the ground, you see tiny footprints in the fresh snow.
Tiny.
Tiny footprints. Okay. Not in a huge hurry, but like quickly, I throw on furs, winter garb.
Whatever armor you've got.
I
Oh,
have
you're
them.
barbarian, so
Yeah.
you're naked. Yeah, you better throw on some furs. That loincloth ain't gonna keep you warm.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to go follow the footprints.
Are you gonna wake up the opera singer?
Beauty sleep and whatnot.
I guess not. All right.
Every
Fair
time
enough.
I try,
Hey,
she yells at
he's
me.
right. That is exactly. I haven't put my face on yet. You can't see me.
that term always. I have to put on my face.
Right? Exactly. That shit.
That's fucking terrifying. The whole idea of that's terrifying. I remember my mom used to say, I'm like, is that like a fucking boomer thing? Is that something from the 60s you gotta put on your... Do you not sleep with a face? I don't... What?
Exactly.
Once you get to
You're
like,
scaring me right now.
once you get to like 60, your face falls off.
I guess.
Glue it on every morning.
I guess.
Well, you know, you're getting the bigger portion of the whatever.
You're so lucky that your parents aren't boomers. You're so fucking lucky. They had a
His dad and I
lot.
are right in between Gen X and Millennial.
They had a lot of problems. A lot of like hang-ups.
Well,
Whole lot of problems.
If you knock nicely, I might yell a blessing at you through the door.
I'm fine.
Alright.
I'm fine.
So you throw on your gear and you rush out of the room, quietly shut the door, make your way down the stairs. You can smell downstairs that they're already cooking up scrambled eggs and sausage. Probably more reindeer sausage.
Yeah.
The scrambled eggs smell good.
Yeah.
And it's what maybe like fresh bacon. You get down to the bottom of the stairs, your stomach kind of growls a little bit. And you open up the door and you can see your window and you can see in the snow the tiny footprints. And they go exactly the same direction that you followed last night.
Gotta keep tracking them. I might lose them again, but I might not, so. It's also.
The guards are just opening the doors this morning. So the 20-foot tall gates are open. Bryn Chan is open for trade if there's any to be had. Make a survival check.
That is really good. 19.
Okay. You follow these tiny footprints off into a small copse of trees. And these are pine boughs heavily laden with ice and snow from last night's blizzard. Make a perception check.
That is 60.
You bring up out of your pack, you hold up the lantern
Is it just like a UV
under the tree
flashlight?
branches. Yeah, it's like a bullseye lantern.
Yeah.
And when you shine the light on the footprints, they glow.
Awesome. Why wasn't I using this?
And they go under the bough, and you see that there are glowing figures under the tree bough. And you poke your head under the bough, and you look, and you see that there are 3 tiny people about this tall, and their faces all appear to be a different mask. Have you seen Watchmen?
Watchmen? No. I
So-
know what Twin does look like.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I've showed him the pictures.
So
and
Watchmen, there's
they've all
a
got
character called
different little-
Rorschach,
Yeah.
whose face changes. It's white. It's a white mask, and his face changes. So a Rorschach test. I don't know if you know what that is. Anyway, they're kind of like that, but they don't change. And they appear to be all black, and they are wearing little outfits made of pine boughs and leaves. And they have all of this silverware and cutlery. And you see that in the middle, around the 3 of them, there is the pewter plate that was stolen from the outfitters. And on it is a pine cone, 2 twigs, and like a group of leaves laid out like it's dinner. And you see them, and they've got these big, the cutlery is bigger than they are, and they're holding these,
and one of them is holding the pine cone in a fork, and the other one's kind of sawing it like they're cutting it, and the third one looks at you and it holds up a fork and a knife and motions you to come join.
It's a silly ass adventure. We're going crazy here. Come have dinner with the Twingos. They invite you to come eat a pine cone with them. Eat a pine cone.
I'll humor them in a take some jerky and
Oh,
stale
and one of
bread
them,
out
yes,
of it.
one of them under the snow, it moves the snow away and it pulls out your piece of jerky and places it on the plate.
Here.
take the pine cones and leaves off, and I put some jerky and rations on the plate, and I start cutting it up for them into tiny little pieces.
Oh, they are ecstatic by this. They are completely happy, and they're one of them is digging into the pine cone and pretends to be eating it. The other one goes over and takes a piece of your rations and tastes it, and then puts it down on the plate. Then goes over and pretends to eat some of the leaves. The one that beckoned you over looks at you and it goes like this. Make a charisma check.
Okay. 12.
It pops up on your shoulder and is kind of hanging on to one of your small horns, and it sits on your shoulder and kind of looks around, and it seems perfectly happy to go with you wherever you want to go.
Sweet. Twingo bet.
Copycat.
I didn't mean to.
I had a Twingo first.
Okay,
Teasing.
yeah, sure you did.
I'm teasing. I love it. I love it. Twingos are great. Get some.
Okay.
Get some. Have a little
Wait.
buddy. Bring it back to the researcher. So she can be all like, what's this?
So this Twingo won't stay with you,
Oh.
but they'll stay with you for a week. And it casts the Charm of Bounty on you. This charm has 3 charges. As an action, you can expend one of the charm's charges to cast the Create Food and Water spell, requiring no components. Once all of the 3 charges have been expended, this charm goes away.
Okay. I'm going to. I don't know if I should make a check for this, but I should. I'm going to try to make a check. To be follow me and you get good food, not rations and pine cones. Because they seem hungry. They're acting like they're hungry.
Make a charisma check.
Okay.
Actually,
They're pretending to be hungry.
make an intellect check.
Intellect.
Or, I'm sorry, intelligence.
Okay.
I'm getting my games mixed up.
Yes. 14.
Okay, so at 14, you realize that, yeah, they're pretending.
Ah.
They're acting like the people that they've seen at the tavern.
Mimicry.
I don't know that Twingas actually eat. They're elementals. They
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
But they're putting on this big act of going and getting silverware and going and getting plates and going and getting food, and
Yes.
they're amongst themselves.
They are fascinated.
Yeah, amongst themselves with no one else even watching.
Right.
They're going through this weird ritual of pretending to dine.
Because that's what
together.
people do.
Yeah, they're imitating.
They are fascinated
Yeah.
by this. And you realize, well, elementals don't eat.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna eat.
Oh, and they sit and
Watch me
have
eat.
a mock feast with you while they
Okay.
dine on pine cones.
Even
and-
going so far as to do things like this, I'm
Yes.
sure. Like,
Oh, yes. And they're like, oh, it's so good. And one of them has one of them stole a thimble and from a seamstress and fills it with snow and is like drinking the snow water. And they're like, oh, they're acting all drunk.
Congratulating each other, patting each other on
Yeah,
the shoulder.
yeah, they're acting just like the people
Yeah.
that you saw. It's almost a perfect mimicry of the people that you saw the previous evening in the tavern.
All right.
How fun.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing I can cast. Make them tiny little silverware so I can get the knife back. Can I find the big butcher's knife?
Yes, and it is so big. So
They can't even pick
the
it up.
other two that are sitting, the one that's up on your shoulder, it kind of points. The other two, from under the snow, pull out this big butcher's knife that has a reindeer horn handle, and they bring it out, and two of them are like dragging it. It must have taken all three of them to steal this. And it looks like it's got a Damascus steel blade. You can see why the cook was like, this was her favorite knife.
Yeah.
And they pull it out and they lay it at your feet, and they all kind of hold up their hands like, we're sorry. You know.
We can't actually use it to chop anything.
Yeah.
It's a little big. Alright, baby.
Okay.
Our eyes were bigger than our stomachs on that.
Right, yes. Right.
How funny.
Yeah, my character's stifling laughter the whole time. Like, I am going insane, aren't I?
Yes,
Something happened.
this is the sign. This is it right here. Where I'm talking to tiny beings that have stolen goods.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's gonna take the knife and give him a short, small mock lecture. Like, you don't get to steal things. Stealing is bad.
They're all like,
Puts his hand on his hip.
yeah, they're all complacent.
How funny.
I'll pat him on the head and do like the run along motion.
And the two of them run along, and you see them, there are like a couple of rocks next to the tree. You see them go, and they almost look like they fuse into the rocks and disappear. But the one is still on your shoulder, and is like,
Let's go. Okay, I'll take the silverware, and the butcher's knife, and all the miscellaneous objects.
okay,
I better go return these. 25 gold to go insane.
Bring back
sure.
some forks.
Bring back some forks.
yeah, tough quest.
Oh, yeah.
Go fetch my shoes. That's what always bothered me, like WoW, level 1 WoW quest. Go kill 10 boars. I need you to go over there and fetch my shoes.
Yes.
What-
Yes.
And my character's the kind of person that's like, I'm sleeping. You go
Right,
fetch the shoes.
yeah, whatever.
You go
yeah.
fetch the shoes. I can't be fucked with right now, alright?
Right. Actually, I felt like that playing WoW. I'm like, God, are you fucking serious? At least when I played a dwarf, I'm like, alright, well, I get to fire a gun. That's cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, play a hunter, a dwarf hunter, so I'm like,
I don't know, my
yeah,
buddy's
guns.
trying to get me back into WoW. He's like, oh, dude, classic WoW. They just released Burning Crusade again. I'm like, I might.
And I run just the greatest guild on our private server.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run a private server.
Alright.
WoW's not that much fun when you only have like 25 people play.
Fair.
Yeah, it's really quiet. But the cool thing is that when you
Our
go,
private server is hella populated. There's
the
like
cool thing
8,000
is that when
people.
you're like level 4 and you're like, hey, you know what? I'd really like to have this magic item. Hold on.
Boop-de-boop.
There you go. Now you have it.
Enjoy.
Yes. And you get a magic sword, and you get a magic sword. Allergies are killing me. What the F? So something around here blooms or really hits later in the day, and so I don't know what it is, but it drives
me insane. Every night. So you make it back to the inn. And we'll get back to you in just a moment. And before we start with Hronda, I'll be right back.
Cool. I'll take a break too. And it'll be the most boring stream for a minute.
For
Yes.
just the most boring.
One more. Leave me one.
Fine.
Thanks.
Do.
Big whale bones.
Nah.
Too huge.
Big islands out of them.
Yeah.
Still hungry, the boy? Said, are you still hungry, the boy?
I don't know, I've just been really hungry for like the past week. Just eating a lot of food.
Growth spurting?
I think so.
Get a bit taller?
Maybe.
Put on some shoulders? You look like you might be putting some shoulders on.
Maybe. Dad said I'm like 5'5".
Five.
Ow.
5. Good grief, boy.
Yes.
3 inches taller than me.
Huge.
I remember I was 18 and my mom got really pissed off at me and training around me. I busted up laughing. I'm like, whatever. That made her even more pissed off.